Hey, welcome back. Today I'd like to do a review of the spinning rod from Megabass USA, the Destroyer P5 Flyssa F2.5-76XS. Now before we get into today's video, I'd like to take a moment and just thank you all for your support and comments. I honestly did not expect this English channel to hit 1,000 subscribers and way over 4,000 hours watching time after just 6 short videos. It actually took me 1 year and some 40 videos on my other channel to reach this milestone. I am a one-man team, so with the fishing season started in northeast of the United States, it actually might be very hard to keep up the pace for uploading, but I'll try. The Flyssa is one of the P5 US models Megabass rolled out in 2023. The US models were mainly a reproduction of the super popular previous gen US models like the FMJ, 110 Special, and the Flyssa. They all had their predecessors in the previous gen. Megabass also added a few new models into the 2023 US Destroyer lineups, and those will be another topic for the future. Now, my first impression of the entire 2023 US Destroyer P5 lineup can be summarized in 2 words: long and unique. So many new and special models being added, such as the BMG, for instance, which is a deep water jig or Carolina rig rod, which I don't think Megabass has ever produced such a specific model. And look at the length of the rods. I mean, FMJ, BMG, 711, etc. These are the trademark rods of American-style bass fishing, long with high power, suited for heavy baits, big water, or gnarly cover for fighting big fish. Now, just like the BMG and FMJ, the 7.6 Flyssa is a long and unique spinning rod, or perhaps I should call it uniquely long spinning rod. It is a fast-action Force 2.5 or the L plus power rated spinning rod. Lure weight is 1/16 to 3/8 ounce, and line capacity is 2 to 10 pounds. 8 Fuji titanium framed silicon carbide guides, and same reel seat and handle as the other P5 Destroyer spinning rods with all Cork handles. The only main difference is the length of the rear grip. Comparing to the 2020 model of P5 lens set, it is about 1 inch longer. And other than that, there's really not too much to talk about its exterior, other than the almost identical whiting check, end cap, etc. To the other Destroyer P5 spinning rods. Overall, Megabass has adopted somewhat more low-key rod appearance after 2010, and the P5 series is a continuity in this design concept. However, the performance of the Flyssa is what sets it apart from almost all the other Japanese spinning rods I have ever used. First of all, its super long rod length with a L plus power rating is a rare model that you can hardly find among the other Japanese brand spinning rods. Now, Daiwa and Jakko have maybe 1 or 2 models. Now, Megabass has the last gen Brigand with a 7.4 length, but rated as F4 or medium heavy. P5 Windbuster, which is 7.2, but its power rating is 3.5, so it's still very different. The Flyssa has a handle length of 12 inches, which left it with 78 inches of effective rod length, comparing to the 2020 lens set, who has a 611 total length and 72 inches of effective rod length. If you wonder what is effective rod length, please check out the link in the description. The Flyssa is 6 inches longer in the effective rod length than the lens set. This 6 inches difference is exactly why I got my Flyssa the moment it was released on the US market. Before I got my Flyssa, I was really a little bit worried about its balance point though. Being such a long rod and designed for a lot of tip-up techniques, including hair jigs, it will tie my wrist up if the rod is really not balanced well. But that proved to be my redundant concern. The rod itself balances right around here. But when I pair it with the 2022 Shimano Stella 2500 shadow spool, the balance point of this entire setup is right on the front edge of the foregrip. When I grab the setup between the middle finger and the ring finger, the index finger is right beneath the gravity center. So this means this setup has a essentially perfect balance point when I pair it with the Stella. But for comparison purposes, if I pair it with the 2023 Vanquish 2500, the balance point of the setup did move 1 inch toward the rod tip, making it slightly less balanced, but still I couldn't say it is tip heavy. However, this does, again, show how important it is to match the rod with a reel if we really want to get a well-balanced setup. Now, let's talk about the applications of Flyssa. Megabass designed it for use with finesse swimbaits and hairjigs. So initially, I was using it for finesse swimbait heads, such as my favorite, the Megabass Okashira heads. They only come in 1/16 and 1/8 ounce sizes. So when paired with 3 to 4 inches of a Kitech Easy Shiners, the Flyssa handled very well, even hooking into some unknown monsters like this. Oh my gosh, what the heck? What's that? Oh my gosh, what the heck is this? Oh, what is it? Found a fish. Well, I wasn't able to land it because the hook popped out. But what species do you think I hooked into? I don't think it was a bass. And please don't tell me it is a bass. Otherwise, I would be really haunted for good. Anyway, I soon discovered a problem throwing those finesse type of swim baits on the Flyssa. So on the lakes where I fish a lot, we actually use a lot of like 1/4 ounce to 1/2 ounce swim bait heads to fish deep water. The presentation is almost like crawling the jig head on the bottom of the lake. So the Flyssa has a quite forgiving tip section. So when handling those relatively heavy jig heads, and especially when I was trying to drag them through the rocks or sometimes even through the weeds, the tip was a little bit on the soft side. My go-to rod for this application before Flyssa had been the 2017 Megabass USA Destroy Brigand F2.5-76XS. It's a medium to medium heavy jig rod blank built into a spinning rod. It's a faster action and a strong backbone. So when throwing the heavier jig head swim baits and dragging through rocks, it handles them very well and very crispy. It could be a personal preference thing, but I just felt the Flyssa is a little bit underpowered when handling the finesse swimbait jig heads on the heavier side. So eventually I decided to stick with my Brigand for finesse swimbait applications. And at the same time, I start to venture out and test the Flyssa for various tactics and applications. What I found was the Flyssa is superb in handling baits below 3/8 ounce, and it is capable of handling a variety of tactics and lures. Now, being a super long, lightweight spinning rod, arguably the most natural technique to fish with is Dropshot. Flyssa's long rod blank plus the easily loaded tip section made it a superb rod for throwing light Dropshot rigs at distance. Nowadays, sometimes it seems critical to keep the distance of yourself from the fish due to the fishing pressure on a lot of our water bodies, and especially after the past few years. Flyssa's long effective rod length made it a piece of cake casting 1/8 to 3/16 ounce Dropshot rigs far, and it not only boosts casting distance, but also enabled me to use lighter Dropshot weights. When paired with Power Pro Super 8 Slick version 2 braided line plus 6 to 8 pound test leader, the whole setup was a dream combo for deep water drop shotting or any circumstances that benefit from a long casting distance. Almost all P5 Destroyer rods have very good to superb sensitivity. Now, Flyssa is among the top 10% as far as sensitivity is concerned. No issue to detect a bite. And what's even better is when it hooks into a big fish. Actually, the first day I took Flyssa out for some drop shot fishing, I hooked it into this smallmouth. gosh, that's a giant! Oh my gosh, giant! 大王发飙！我靠 ！Giant! Oh my gosh! No! Oh my gosh, this is freaking 5-pounder smallmouth. Oh my gosh. Really impressive power from the backbone indeed. Now I was able to put a lot of pressure on the 5.5-pounder smallmouth using 6-pound test leader without worrying too much about breaking the leader. The rod blank bends pretty further down and absorbs the charge from the hot smallie. No problem. Also did a great job keeping the tension when the fish was airborne and doing tail walking.
Yes, yeah. 弗里沙大王，我的战斗力是100万。Yeah.
We all know there is a time when we could not tell if that is a fish bite or something else when drop shotting, and especially when using light drop shot weights. At these moments, the long Flyssa has a unique advantage. To feel the other end of the line, I can pick up the same amount of slack by lifting the rod at a much smaller angle than if using a short rod. For instance, to pick up 2 feet of slack from 2 o'clock starting point of your rod, on a 6-footer, you might need to turn the rod to 11 or 10 o'clock. But with Flyssa super long blank, you only need to turn it from 2 o'clock to maybe 12 o'clock, right? So after you feel the bite or confirm it was a fish, the Flyssa will be in a much better rod position than the shorter rod for an immediate hook set. But the short rod will usually require the angler to retrieve a little bit more line so that you can point the rod a little bit forward to make room for the hook set. Other than drop shot, the Flyssa also handles hairjig, especially those light hairjig, very well. Thanks to its castability of light lures again, Flyssa casts hairjigs less than 1/4 ounce, like a dream. I like to use it throwing the DHT hairjig in hydrilla and conetails a lot. Now when dragging the jig through weeds, you can feel it, but it does not quickly pop the jig off the weed. Instead, as you pull it, the rod tip will first load and bend a little bit, then the jig will slowly move off the weed. To me, this really helps to match the crayfish or bluegill movement in cold water, where they don't usually jump like 3 feet off the bottom in cold waters. It is not crazy sensitive as I mentioned, so when fishing in the weeds, I personally think it is a good thing, since it won't give you those extra bumps that might be easily mistaken with bites if the rod is as sensitive as, say, X bites, for instance. And Flyssa also throws Ned Rig very comfortably. Like this one pulled from the rocky jetty, the small Ned head hook drove into the top roof of the 4-pounder without hesitation. Then the blank kicked in and put on a beautiful fight. And you might think Flyssa is a big fish rod. Sure, it handles the big ones with confidence, but it also offers a lot of fun fishing for smaller ones. Or maybe I should say it does not overpower the smaller fish, so they still put on a pretty good fight. Like when encountered a huge school of white perch on Lake Champlain, from 1/2 pound to 1 pound size, those fish were able to still put up a pretty fun fight actually on the Flyssa rod. The lure I was throwing was the silver body blade bait, equipped with 2 of those ZANGETSU number 6 round bend treble hooks. Due to Flyssa's forgiving tip section, the fish was pinned on those small treble hooks, no problem. I had a couple that was only hooked at the corner of the mouth, just a skin hook, but I was still able to land them. If it was, say, brigand or other much stronger spinning rod, so I would either pull the hook off of a lot of fish and lose them, or the white perch will simply have no chance of fighting back. They will be lifted from bottom of the lake to mid-air in a split second. The other very fitting lure for Flyssa I found was the small Flutter spoon. Flyssa can almost like doing a bump casting of the spoon very far. And of course, it loads very well when fighting the fish. So the Flyssa is unique. The Flyssa is versatile. Yet not like some of the versatile rods which offers okay application to a lot of techniques, but you can call none of the technique niche fitting for the specific rod. The Flyssa is truly good at drop shotting, Hairjig, and some of the treble hook baits I just mentioned. I can totally see this rod being a super fun rod to throw spy baits or small profile shad type baits. Also, Ned Rig, inch walkie will work well too. But since its effective rod length is very long, for me, I personally will not use it for jerkbait fishing or mist trolling. Now, interestingly, this year, 2024, Megabass added a few new models to the P5 Japanese destroying lineup, including a super long spinning rod, which is also a F2.5 L+ rated spinning rod, but is even longer at 7.7, so 1 inch longer than the Flyssa. I think that will be Flyssa's younger brother and should actually offer the rod experience as good as the Flyssa. So for you guys who is not in the North America, which means you cannot buy this Flyssa model, you can probably look for that new model that's coming up soon, hopefully in late April or early May. So I've had the Flyssa for about 8 months now, and I found myself tend to pick it up way more often than other spinning setups in the past 8 months. I cannot tell you how happy I am with this unique rod and really enjoyed fishing with it. I'll keep exploring other techniques on the Flyssa combo, and I'll keep you guys posted. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and tight lines until next time.